Welcome to the 3CoSports podcast with your three co-hosts, Luke, Alex, and Angel.
Welcome back to the Fantasy Football Podcast that entertains, informs, and helps you win. As always, I'm joined by my two handsome co-hosts, Alex and Luke. Alex, how you doing today?
Pretty good, sipping on my red drink. How about you, Luke?
I'm sipping on my green drink. I have some
Grain.
Mountain Dew right here. My grain drink. I don't think it comes from grains, but it is Mountain Dew. Okay, I just realized this. Hang on. I don't know if this is going to the YouTube, the visual version or not, but there's a little MD stamp in the side of the Mountain Dew bottle, and I don't know if I've ever seen that before in my life. It's like a little MD right there.
Oh,
Third eye open.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just stupid. I don't know. Shout out Mountain Dew. If there's Mountain Dew would be on a short list of brands that would want to sponsor me.
really?
Yeah, I love Mountain Dew. Always.
I like Mountain Dew too. I don't really drink soda anymore though.
They have an excellent variety of flavors. Try the new watermelon one, by the way. It tastes like Jolly Ranchers. It's really good.
Watermelon.
Yeah, I'd rather get that Crystal Light sponsorship personally.
Of course you would.
That would make me so happy.
Oh wait, quick side topic before we get going. If you could actually have like one brand to sponsor you and you could pick, who would it be?
That's a tough one.
For me, but what do you guys think? For me, it's a tie between two, but I'll say them both. For me, it's either Nike, so I can get like the newest shoes, because I love shoes, or Panini America, the like sports card company, so I could get like free cards, because that's just like free money, and who doesn't like free money?
That checks out. I believe that.
Yeah, those check out as well.
I think for me, the two things that I would want to sponsor me are Monkey Knife Fight and Prediction Strike, but we already have that. So I'm happy.
It's a dream come true.
It really is.
You see, Alex, it's funny you mentioned Monkey Knife Fight because, I have an ad read prepared for Monkey Knife Fight. Would you like me to read it and tell you about it?
Yeah, but only if you mention NASCAR.
Oh, buddy, just you wait. Monkey Knife Fight is a DFS website that features fantasy games for sports such as the NFL, NHL, NASCAR. That's right, man.
NASCAR,
and NASCAR, and much more. You can even play DFS for esports. So what are you waiting for? Go on monkeyknifefight.com and use promo code 3CO, that's the number 3CO, to double your initial deposit up to $50. Go make some MKFing money on NASCAR.
Epic. We love it.
Did you like the NASCAR thing?
Yeah, that was good.
Angel, what's your one brand that you want to sponsor you, by the way? I mean, obviously you had to kind of give it up for the transition right there. I kind of expected that. But what's the brand?
Had to. NASCAR. No, I'm kidding. Honestly, it might be Crystal Light. I'm not even kidding. Like,
really?
Just give me that. That would save me like what, $10 a week? Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I need. I'm all about the little things, baby.
Dude,
That's how much
Chipotle
you're
would also be
spending?
really nice too.
Pretty much, yeah. They're delicious.
Those Chipotle, what are they called? Black cards or gold cards, whatever they have, that they give to like TikTokers and like celebrities and stuff. That you get like free Chipotle for life. It's like I want one of those. Like that sounds.
We chose
so
the wrong
nice.
career path. We should have been TikTokers, not
I still
podcasters.
could be.
Never too
You still
late.
could be.
It's never too late. Just like post a random TikTok of you like swimming in baked beans or something, and you'll go viral. Just like take your bathtub, fill it with baked beans, put on some goggles and a swim cap, and swim in it. And I guarantee that pops at least 5,000 likes.
Or
Guaranteed.
just talk about anime news. That's another option.
That actually would be really funny if you got like an actual like fake news set up, and you're like, this week in anime news, and you had like a theme and everything. That actually is not a bad idea.
Look at that. We got to make sure to write all these down in case the podcast thing doesn't work out.
Yeah, we have a patent pending for all of those in case any of you try to steal them, especially the beans one.
Great ideas. You know what I didn't think was a great idea at first, though?
What's that?
Cam Newton to the Patriots. And Alex, you know this very well. I was very disappointed at first when I first heard the news.
It's debate time. It's time for Luke, the Steelers fan, versus two Patriots fans. Actually, not Luke, the Steelers fan. Luke,
I don't
the
think it's gonna be a
unbiased
debate.
NFL fan. Cam Newton sucks, and I don't think it was a good idea for him to come back. I mean, if you watched him play last year, the man, he barely threw the ball he's more of a running back than a quarterback these days. Like, I don't know. I just don't think he's good enough to take your team to a Super Bowl. And I don't think that's worth having your starting quarterback be that guy anymore.
That's like an extremely hot take that Cam Newton's not. I mean, I was expecting the Patriots to go to the Super Bowl this year with Cam Newton. I really was. Like, I thought, yeah, Cam Newton's really the guy that's going to make us 15-1. That's exactly how I felt about him.
Well, when he was signed this past offseason, a lot of people did think that. They were like, they're going to the Super Bowl again. Do you remember that?
They were stupid for thinking that. Like, that's a that's a brain dead take. I mean, you sign a guy for $2 million. You're not expecting him to take you to the Super Bowl. And we got him for below market value this time around too. And it's like yeah, we're choosing between trading for $25 million Jimmy Garoppolo or signing $14 million Cam Newton to get hit and throw to crummy receivers until we can fix that. It's like, okay, does it really matter who the quarterback is this year? Like, are we really going to be a good team? I don't know. We won 7 games with him last year. Like, I don't hate it. I feel like the value was there financially. And yeah, he was a bad quarterback, but he's a pretty good running back. And, you can make do with that.
Yeah, I guess I'm guessing with quarterbacks, I'm more on the side of if you're gonna try to rebuild or like reload, I think you should kind of just like tear it down rather than have like a stopgap quarterback like Teddy Bridgewater or Cam Newton or guys like that, because I just think like the Miami Dolphins are the perfect modern day example of a good rebuild. Like, you should just trade every tradable asset you can and get like good draft capital for them. And then from there, you just like let your guys play you have on your roster, suck it up for a couple years, and then all of a sudden you're in the playoffs like the next year because you have so much draft capital.
But Ryan Fitzpatrick is better than Cam Newton. Like,
he is. You're right. But I'm just saying, like,
they're tearing it down.
I know, but like, I don't know. I just think I don't. Well, Ryan Fitzpatrick is better than him, but he doesn't win games really. He's more of a flashy guy. Like, I mean, they did win games this year, but it's only because they had a really good defense. Like, he didn't play that well.
I mean, I think it's the same thing as having Ryan Fitzpatrick. I just think the guy who's playing for New England was an MVP at one point. It's just the name value that you're looking at. Like, they're not paying Cam Newton to be the franchise quarterback. They're paying Cam Newton to be a quarterback. Like, they could have done the same thing with Case Keenum or Andy Dalton, but I think Cam Newton's a slightly better playmaker.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I don't know. When you were just saying about like the NFL team perspective, I think is a good point, because like you have to fill the stands and sell jerseys and all that, and Cam Newton does add more entertainment value than some random guy that no one really cares about.
Exactly. Like it's not the worst deal I've ever seen. Like, if they signed him for $20 million, I'd be like, okay, that's awful. Like, that's bad. But $14 million, that's probably less than what Jameis Winston's going to get. And you might not win more games with Jameis Winston. He might be a better statistical quarterback, but he's probably going to have more turnovers. He's probably going to make more mistakes. Like, it is what it is.
Yeah. I think I do definitely like Jameis Winston more than Cam Newton, though, like, for sure. I really like Jameis Winston. I'm a Jameis Winston believer. I'm a Jameis Winston apologist. I think that he is a misunderstood quarterback in the NFL. I mean, you have to do something. I mean, obviously he threw like 1 million interceptions, but he also threw like 1 million touchdowns and like led the NFL in passing yards last season. He was starting in Tampa. So I think if you give him to the right coaching staff and like let him fix himself for a little bit, even if you just cut the interceptions in half, sure, it's still like 15 interceptions. That's still a really good amount. But I mean, that's a pretty solid quarterback right there. If you're throwing like 30 plus touchdowns and like over 5,500 passing yards, like, he has a really high ceiling as an NFL player still.
Yeah, I like Jameis Winston.
Yeah. That's the thing with Cam is like, I think the thing that feels gross about Cam is like, I feel like we've definitely seen the best Cam Newton. I think we can all agree on that. Like, he's just pointing downward at this point. But even a guy like Marcus Mariota could come in and be better than that. Like, he could improve. Like, I don't know. I just feel like there's other options that were better. But the contract is really affordable, so it's fine.
Yeah, and then the one thing with trading for a guy like Mariota is you have to give up draft capital, and at that point, if you're getting a bridge quarterback, what's more worthwhile? Spending the least amount of money possible and not giving up any draft capital so you can actually build a team? Or is it like, maybe we could get a slightly better guy if we pay a little bit more? Like, at this stage in the Patriots rebuild, I think it just made sense for them to be like, let's just roll with the guy who knows the offense and we'll figure it out. Like, it was either, I feel like for me, like, I thought it was either going to be Cam Newton or they were going to sign like Jacoby Brissett or somebody like that. Like, I don't think they were going to ever make a big splashy move with free agency or trades.
My phone just fell down. Excuse me. But yeah, I agree with that. I think that Yeah, I think Cam's it's a good value pickup. It just feels kind of gross because we saw it last year and it was pretty gross. So a continuation of the grossness is not my favorite, but it really isn't bad. I hope they draft a quarterback to bring in for some competition, but
Absolutely.
yeah, not bad. Definitely not bad at all. But I'm going to take Angel's transition here because I'm talking anyway. So let's get into the free agency primer that we're doing on today's episode. We have some quarterbacks, some running backs, wide receivers, and some tight ends to talk about naturally. That's because that's, fantasy football. Up first, the guy we were just talking about, Jameis Winston. Where do you guys think he's going to land? How much money do you think he's going to fetch per year? All that jazz. So Jameis Winston, how do you guys feel about his outlook?
Angel, why don't you take lead on this since we just talked for like 5 minutes straight?
No problem. Jameis Winston is actually one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch play. I just love watching him sling the ball. It doesn't usually work out well for him. He doesn't have 20/20 vision. He has 30/30 vision. That's probably one of the best jokes I've made on the podcast thus far. But I would really like for him to take over in New Orleans, and I do think that's the entire plan in New Orleans. If you watch the last playoff game for Drew Brees, you could see at the end of the game, he went over to Jameis Winston and muttered, "This is your team now." So I would be shocked if Jameis Winston lands anywhere but New Orleans, but I would love to hear what you guys think. I've thought about it, and I can't see any other realistic fit for him. And I know the New Orleans Saints are in cap hell, as we put it last week, but I do think they'll be able to work it out so that Jameis Winston takes over. And I don't think any other team is in a position to give Jameis Winston either the playing time because they're too good for him, or they're bad and they want to rebuild. It seems like New
What about
Orleans is right in
Washington?
that sweet spot. Washington's a potential contender. Do you think that could happen?
I don't think they would be contender if Jameis Winston landed there. But if if Jameis Winston is as good as I think he could be, of course they would be a contender at that point. But it would be really nice to see Jameis Winston land there because I think it's a nice marriage with a lot of interceptions and a defense that will not give up points very easy. So I feel like it'd be a nice pairing of the two things right there. Washington would benefit a lot from a quarterback like Jameis Winston who can actually get chunk plays for your offense and not just dink and dunk the ball down the field like Alex Smith was doing. So it'll be interesting to see what they do there, but they already have a guy in Taylor Heineke that they extended for a season and gave a little bit of money to. So I think kind of like Cam Newton's situation there. I feel like Taylor Heineke might be a bit of a stoppage quarterback, and they could try to draft a guy, and we'll see what happens there. Like Kyle Trask could be interesting, but we'll see.
Yeah, I definitely feel like it would for Jameis Winston. The only two spots that make sense are return to New Orleans and maybe be the starter. I don't know. Maybe Taysom Hill and him are co-starters and they do something weird like that, or go to Washington because Washington is the only team. They're really the only team besides New England now that I'm like, these guys need a new quarterback bad.
Right.
Because they literally don't have one. They have Kyle Allen and Heineke. But the one thing that makes me think that Washington might not sign Jameis is that they could have signed him last offseason and they said, nah, we don't want you. I don't know if a year if New Orleans changes that for him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Let's transition from former number 1 overall pick Jameis Winston to former number 2 overall pick Mitchell Trubisky. What are you guys thinking about him?
Man.
Big man.
Dude, Trubisky, I don't really know. I don't think he'll ever really get a starting job again. I view Mitchell Trubisky as I view Blake Bortles in the same lens as far as their career path. I feel like he started for a little while, had some success with a good defensive team, made a decent playoff run, and then just mediocrity. And then he'll find himself being a career backup after this.
Yeah. I kind of see Trubisky as like the middle ground between Ryan Tannehill and Bortles because I think his highs have been much higher than Blake Bortles' highs. There's moments where it's like, okay, Trubisky is talented. Like he's out there, he's running around. When he actually plays the style of football that is catered to his skill set, he looks pretty good. And then he gets like nervous or whatever and just kind of shuts down. And I don't know. I feel like it would make sense for the Bears to just give him like a short term deal to return because like who else are the Bears going to get right now? Like they're really out of position to draft a guy.
Jameis Winston, Russell Wilson.
The Russell Wilson thing is their only hope, I think, at this point. Like I don't know if Jameis Winston is going to help their situation. I think they have to either swing for the fences with Russell Wilson or maybe just be like, okay, one more year of Trubisky. And if he doesn't end up there, I don't really know what's going to happen with him. Maybe he'll go be a backup like what Marcus Mariota did. But yeah, he's in a really weird spot.
Yeah, the thing with the NFL right now is I feel like the quarterback carousel. There's not a lot of open spots, so it'll be interesting to see what happens.
I think he could go be a backup somewhere like San Francisco. Maybe give Jimmy G some competition. Kyle Shanahan also knows how to best utilize any quarterback that he gets. So if there's any place for him to revive his career, I think it would be San Francisco. I mean, I do think it makes sense because of the fact that it seems like the 49ers are a little iffy on Jimmy G. Can't imagine how. He's so handsome. How could he not want him starting for you?
He's really handsome.
But yeah, there's like Luke said, there's not that many open quarterback spots right now. Somehow, well, I guess we shouldn't say that. I guess we should say there's not many teams that are in a position to bring a player like a veteran player in to start. It seems like teams are either tanking and want a quarterback in this draft or next draft, or they're in the playoff hunt and they need someone better than Jameis Winston. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see where he goes. Another quarterback that we should talk about, I think, is Alex Smith. And first of all, can we just talk a little bit about his story and how incredible it is that he came back?
Yeah,
His leg almost fell off.
Leg almost fell off, almost died, I believe.
yep.
Yeah, he almost died.
Incredible.
A trooper, a true trooper.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Where do you
really
guys think he'll
sucks.
end up?
I don't know, man. I don't really know who's gonna take a shot on Alex Smith. I feel like he'll be a backup anywhere he goes. Unfortunately, I feel like it's just time in his career to kind of just like take a secondary role, maybe help develop a young quarterback. I don't really know
Right.
where he'll go. There's not really a lot of opportunities where I could see him fitting in very well. Maybe Chicago. Chicago is really the only one that makes a lot of sense to me. Elsewhere, he'll probably just be a random backup.
Yeah, the one place that kind of makes a lot of sense to me is Cincinnati. I feel like if Joe Burrow is not ready to start the season, Alex Smith is the ideal guy to bring in because he's going to be cheap. He's a veteran. He works well with their scheme, and I mean, he just destroyed his leg and came back, so he could probably tell Joe Burrow a few things about coming back from a devastating knee injury and maybe help him prepare to not get that knee destroyed when he comes back. Like, there's probably a few things that he knows about staying healthy. Yeah, I think Cincinnati makes the most sense in my opinion because there's other spots like Denver where it's like, okay, he could push Drew Lock, like be Ryan Fitzpatrick for them or whatever. And yeah, like I don't. It's really weird with Alex Smith. I don't think anybody expected him to be back at any time soon. So it's just like, what do we do with this guy at this point? Like, who is he? What does he bring to the table?
Mm-hmm.
Just strange. It's an unprecedented situation, I'd say.
I think another guy that it's hard to find a spot for is Ryan Fitzpatrick. He's been so good, like actually legitimately good for a couple of years now, but he's not the type of quarterback that you want to build around. So where does he end up? I mean, is he a backup? Is he a starter? Does he go to the Bears and start? Probably not. But who does he sit behind? Who does he mentor? Could it be
Right.
someone like, I mean, you can't say behind Justin Fields, maybe the Jets. They have Darnold, It's Ryan Fitzpatrick is another guy that I legit have no idea where he'll end up.
Yeah.
Fitzpatrick. I saw some reports he's leaning towards retirement. I don't really know though. I hope he doesn't retire yet because I love having him in the league. He's super fun. But I don't really know
He
where
is
he'll
really fun.
land. Cincinnati also would be a nice fit for him. He's a good veteran to come in, play a couple games for you, and then sit behind Burrow for the rest of the season. I don't know. There's not a lot of places. Same with the Bears. The Bears also, if they can't get a good guy. I mean, I probably would rather have Nick Foles than Fitzpatrick start for a season for me. But I don't know. I don't really love him anywhere for a fit. I think the Bengals probably make a good deal of sense. But he might retire. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. If he doesn't retire, there's 3 spots that make a lot of sense to me. The first one is pretty easy, Denver. I think he's the kind of guy who could definitely teach Drew Lock how to be the best version of himself because they're very similar players. They're just kind of gunslinger type dudes. And I think there's a few things that he could learn, similar to what happened in Tampa Bay with Jameis Winston and Ryan Fitzpatrick. And like that one makes the most sense to me because I also think Fitzpatrick could probably just win the starting job and be the starter in Denver this year if they're like, oh, Drew Lock is just not very good, I guess. And then after that, there's a couple spots that are similar in that respect. Like Philadelphia, I think you bring him in to compete and back up Jalen Hurts. If Jalen Hurts doesn't work out, you could just turn it over to Fitzpatrick and just let him kind of simulate the rest of the season as the starter, keep them somewhat competitive, keep spirits high. And there's also Houston. If Deshaun Watson sits out, they're going to need a quarterback, and Ryan Fitzpatrick's played there before. He was pretty good for them too. I think one of his games where he had like 600 passing yards, was that in Houston? Or it was either he had 600 passing yards or he had like 6 TDs. It was like a stupid monster fantasy game. And when he's with the Texans. So yeah, like there's good memories there. And if Watson's not going to play and they don't trade him, I think it could make a lot of sense. Maybe if they trade with Miami and Tua goes there, him and Tua can go be quarterbacks in Houston too. That'd be kind of fun.
That'd be funny. I don't know. All right, well, that does it for the quarterbacks. Let's get into arguably the most fantasy impactful player for free agency this offseason. It's Aaron Jones. Aaron Jones, for me, I think he still has a good amount left in the tank as far as like being an RB1 for fantasy football for the next couple seasons. There's a lot of teams that are good fits for Aaron Jones because I feel like he's a very well-rounded, skilled running back. My favorite fit for Aaron Jones personally is the Miami Dolphins for 2 reasons. 1, it's a huge team need. 2, they have the money for it. And 3, if they get Aaron Jones, it means there's a higher chance of Najee Harris falling to the Steelers in round 1, and that's what I want. So, Dolphins, please sign Aaron Jones. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, Aaron Jones, it's going to be interesting to see who wants to give him the money because he's going to be the running back that just absolutely cashes out. And the team that definitely like sticks out like a sore thumb to me in this situation is the Jets, because the Jets are going to go into a lot of cap space and they're going to be like, well, we need a running back. This guy's the best running back. Maybe we should give him like $60 million and just kind of let that happen. Like,
you don't think they've learned their lesson with Le'Veon Bell, though? That just happened.
I mean, I don't think the Jets ever learn any lesson about anything. They're about to pick a quarterback at number 2 when they have a perfectly fine former number 3 overall pick who they're just like, nah, this guy's bad. It's the reason why we're bad. So yeah, like I don't think they learned their lessons, and I think they're probably the best fit for Aaron Jones, honestly, if he wants to get cashed out and just be a running back 1, because Miami might use a weird committee even if they give him a ton of money. You never really know.
Yeah, I've seen reports that they're interested in a guy, James Conner. Actually, he's down at the further end of the show sheet here, but James Conner apparently has some interest with the Dolphins, and the Dolphins are interested in him. Kind of gross, but if he went there, it'd be kind of interesting to fantasy to see what would happen with him and Myles Gaskin. So
it'd be awful.
That'd be something to keep an eye on. It'd be kind of gross.
It'd be bad.
Yeah, I don't know.
I would not like that at all.
Yeah, it's reported there's interest there, so we'll see what happens. It feels more like an Aaron Jones backup plan to me, but it's possible.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, when I was thinking about Aaron Jones, Alex, you said it perfectly. The Jets, especially if they do draft Fields, they're going to want a running back that can catch the ball, take some pressure off of him. So it makes sense that he would be the best and most logical fit. After that, there's just not that many teams that I see paying for that for him. You know, the Bills are one, but if I remember correctly, they don't have that much money in terms of cap space. They have a little bit of flexibility.
They
but
don't
not
have
much.
Aaron Jones money.
Yeah, they have $6 million in cap space. That's not enough.
Oof.
So
that's worse than I thought.
yeah, no, me too. I thought they had more like 14 million. But yeah, the only logical fit really is the Jets. I mean, let's look at the teams with the most cap space. The Jaguars probably aren't going to sign him. The Patriots definitely won't sign him. The Jets probably will. If I had to bet, that would be my bet. The Chargers have Eckler. The Colts have Taylor. The Bengals have Mixon. Washington has, sorry, did I say the Bengals have Gibson or Mixon?
Mixon.
Okay, good. The Washington team.
Antonio Gibson.
So it doesn't make the teams with the most cap space already have a running back, an elite running back for the most part. So yeah, I'm going with the Jets on that one.
Yeah, it's definitely
I'm very
possible.
interested. Go ahead, Alex.
I was just gonna say he could just go back to Green Bay if he's like choosing between the Jets and the Dolphins, and maybe going back to the Packers for a little bit less money. Like, it's really not a great market for a guy like that, especially when there's so many contingency plans behind him who we're going to talk about that are just slightly cheaper, but almost like on the same level as him.
Absolutely.
Do the Packers
up
have
next
money for him, you
is,
think?
They do. They do have enough. I think if I'm the Green Bay Packers, it makes the most sense to let your second round draft pick investment, AJ Dillon, actually pay off, and just let Jones walk and use that money elsewhere. I think it just makes the most sense as a real NFL franchise. Use that money to invest more into a free agent wide receiver. But that's what I would do personally. because I think AJ Dillon showed enough at the end of the season to be capable of being your starting running back for sure.
Right. Yeah. I think the only thing is like they might if the market for Aaron Jones dwindles, they could definitely choke it down and end up just getting him on a pretty team friendly deal. Like if they end up, I could see like a deal maybe like 3 years, like 27 million, very front loaded, where they're like, okay, maybe AJ Dillon's not ready this year, but we can get Aaron Jones for the next 3 years, and we could cut him loose after the second year with no dead cap. Like I could definitely see something like that happening.
Yeah, I think I definitely agree with that. I was listening to the Fantasy Footballers yesterday, and they said pretty much the same thing. They said if it comes, they think he'll go elsewhere, but if the market's softer than they expect that Green Bay will creep into the conversation more and more. But let's get into the next guy that we just talked about a little bit there in that last conversation. Well, I thought about it a little bit. I don't know if anyone mentioned him, but I was thinking about him. Chris Carson. I think that he's a great fit for the Buffalo Bills. I was thinking about him because we were talking about the Bills and they didn't really have Aaron Jones money, but I think they have Chris Carson money. Chris Carson I don't think will be as expensive, and I feel like he just kind of fits the Buffalo mold of a powerful runner who's just like, he can rip you off some big runs. He's very consistent. And then Zach Moss and Devin Singletary will just kind of, be there and exist in the void that is the Buffalo backfield at that point. But I think that Chris Carson makes a lot of sense there.
Yeah. Angel, let's hear your Chris Carson thoughts. I feel like we kind of buried you in the Aaron Jones talk, so you can get ahead on me. Go right ahead.
Thank you so much. I feel so honored. Chris Carson. I love Chris Carson. I really like watching his career, and I remember his rookie season. Just a little quick side note. I picked him up like week 2, and I was telling everybody, this guy's an RB1. I promise you. And then, his leg fell apart like a game later. It looked kind of stupid. But I'm really glad he's had the type of career he's had. He deserves it. A late round pick. Unfortunately, I don't see him getting that much money because he is already 26, turning 27 next year. In terms of potential fits, I really like the Bills. I do think that, Luke, I believe it was you that said he's a powerful runner, can rip off a big gain, and he's also a very adept pass catching back. So I really do like that fit. In terms of other potential fits, the Cardinals do have a little bit more cap space than other teams. They have $20 million available to them, and I don't see them re-signing Kenyon Drake, who we'll talk about in a bit. So I can see that being a potential fit just to diversify the offense a little bit. But those are the two teams that jump out to start off. He could also just take a backup role, maybe somewhere like the Raiders, spelling Josh Jacobs for a little bit. But I would be surprised. It would be so gross. It would be terrifying. But as we know, the NFL is moving away from a featured back to a more of an RBBC by the year. So who knows what could happen? Alex, what do you think?
Yeah, for Chris Carson, I see his market being 4 teams. I think the Jets and the Dolphins are going to be looking at him hard because those are the 2 teams who are going to be in on almost every single running back in the draft or in free agency because they just need a defined running back one. And Chris Carson's going to be more cheap than Aaron Jones, and you won't have to invest high draft capital to get him. Like, it would make sense if they wanted to just get like a short term, like this guy is going to do good for us for the next year or two, for those 2 teams. But I also think the Houston Texans are going to take a look at Carson. They have a weird, I think they have both Johnsons right now, although Duke Johnson is a free agent and David Johnson might be released, and they just signed Mark Ingram. So I'm not sure if they're going to be looking to add another running back, but I think Chris Carson could be a fit for them if that's the case. And then obviously Seattle can probably wait out the market if nobody wants to sign Chris Carson. There'd be good reasons not to want to chase Chris Carson too. He's been injured a lot. He's been absolutely rode into the ground by Seattle. They've just fed him the ball the last few years. And yeah, he could just be a 1 or 2 year deal candidate who ends up just coming back to Seattle to be the running back one until they find a better guy long term. So it's it'll be interesting to see what his actual open market value ends up being.
Yep, totally agree there. And then speaking of guys who've been banged up a little bit recently, Kenyon Drake with the Cardinals, it's going to be kind of interesting to see what happens with him. I don't really think any team is going to be willing to pay him a lot of money. I think that I'm starting to get on the Chase Edmonds hype train, honestly. I remember last year I missed out on James Robinson with the coach coming out and saying we think he can carry the workload, and they're saying the same exact thing about Chase Edmonds right now. So I'm kind of in on Chase Edmonds right now. Not gonna lie. I think Kenyon Drake is gonna go elsewhere. Don't really know where he's gonna go. Honestly, I think he could be a good backup somewhere. But yeah, I'm not too interested in Kenyon Drake, honestly. But he still has some juice in him. He's not that old. I just think I think he needs a fresh start somewhere else.
Yeah, I've never been a big Kenyon Drake guy. He's always just been kind of like a meh guy for me. I wasn't crazy about him in Miami. That really brief run where everybody fell in love with him in the second half of 2019, I was like, this guy's not going to do that this year. Like, don't take him in the first round. And then he was not that guy, and I was like, look, I was right. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I feel like the Cardinals could maybe bring him back for a short-term deal. Maybe he could go to like Seattle or the Packers, like some team that's going to lose their running back, and they're like, okay, we could pay a little bit less for Kenyon Drake to be around. Like, he reminds me of when Carlos Hyde was a free agent and the Browns signed him, and they were like, yeah, this is going to be our guy for the first 5 games of the year, and then he's going to go away. Seems kind of like the same situation is going to happen with Kenyon Drake wherever he ends up. Maybe he could end up in Denver working with Melvin Gordon if they want to get rid of Philip Lindsay. Like, you never really know.
They actually just they tendered Philip Lindsay, so
They did?
do not want to get they do not want to get rid of him.
I missed that.
Wow, that's
good.
surprising, actually. Good for Philip Lindsay.
Jeez.
I am on the same wave as you guys when it comes to Kenyon Drake. I'm not too high on him, no matter where he goes, really. I wouldn't spend any draft capital or trade for him. I could 100% see him going to a team that doesn't need a running back, but, might offer him a short-term, low-money deal just to have someone behind their premier running back, maybe somewhere like the Chiefs. I could definitely see the Chiefs making a move for him, just to have some sort of spell for our good friend Clyde Edwards-Helaire. But yeah, I don't think the market for him will be that strong. I would actually be shocked if he got anything more than $4 million on the open market. I'm seeing him getting Mark Ingram money, which I was surprised that he got that much, to be honest.
Yeah, that's a good assessment, I'd say. It's just like, what are you really like? What are you paying for with Kenyon Drake? You're paying for a running back, like just like a guy to be in your committee, to be fine. There's nothing, you can't really attach any defining traits to his game either. You're like, what does this guy do well? He's like, he does everything.
He can be
okay.
explosive.
He can be.
He's a pretty explosive, elusive guy, I'd say. He's not much of a power back. He's more shifty.
Yeah, for sure.
But he's not like shifty. He's like shiftier than the average bear, but not a shifty running back by any means.
You know,
I'd say.
Alex, I'm going to use that as a transition because this is exactly what I said about James Conner last night. Let me pull up the tweet real quick. Well, actually, I can't pull it up. I'll just give it to you off the dome real quick. So, Steffi Smalls tweeted last night. She's like, I'm drunk. Why does everyone hate James Conner so much? And I said, as the guy who's literally wearing his t-shirt in my profile picture on Twitter, let me tell you why I don't like him very much. He's very good at everything. He can do everything well. He can be a good power back. He can pass back well. He can receive well. He can get open. Like, he can be a little bit elusive sometimes. He's a very balanced running back. He can do everything you need of him, but he doesn't excel at one thing. He's very average across the board. Well, above average across the board. So that's the problem with James Conner, I'd say. Like, he's not one kind of guy. Like, he's more powerful than shifty, I'd say, obviously. But, like, when you're a real-life NFL running back, I feel like you want a guy who can either do everything at an elite level or do one thing at an elite level. And James Conner doesn't do either of those things. He's more of a, I can get the job done for you kind of guy. Like, he's not bad at all, but I just don't think he's that skilled. So getting into the rumors about James Conner, the only one I've seen so far with a team that's interested is the Dolphins. I've seen reports about that, like I brought up earlier, but besides that, it's been pretty quiet on the market for James Conner. I think the Dolphins make sense as far as an Aaron Jones backup plan for a bit of a committee thing with Gaskin, Conner, and Ahmed, but I don't really know what's going to happen with him. He's probably not going to get more than like $6 million a year, I'd say.
Yeah, I'm not in on James Conner really. Like, it would kind of shock me if he didn't come back to Pittsburgh because he's a hometown hero. Like, everybody,
No, he's out.
He's out completely.
I
don't know.
He's out. I haven't seen
No.
a single word about him returning. Like, there's no way he comes back unless it's like the cheapest contract of all time. They
Well,
have
that's
so
what
many other salary cap issues right now.
I,
They cannot afford to bring him back.
I feel like a cheap, really short-term contract is probably what's going to happen because who's going to pay him? Like the Dolphins
The
are going to
Dolphins
pay him.
apparently.
That's not going
Someone's
to
gonna pay
happen.
him, man. It's not gonna be the Steelers, I think. I mean, it's definitely possible, but I don't see why they would because they already have Benny Snell and Anthony McFarland, who are Benny Snell's like just as good as James Conner is these days anyway, because Conner's like painfully average, and I'm almost certain they're gonna draft a guy. Like they talked to Travis Etienne at his pro day yesterday for like an hour. Like they are definitely interested in drafting a running back.
I mean, yeah, they probably will draft a running back, but I just like if you can get James Conner back for like a really really cheap 1 year deal, I don't really see like I don't think he fits anywhere else. I don't see Miami giving him money. Like Miami could do so much better than James Conner. It doesn't make sense to me. It seems like a lot of smoke, honestly. Like it's like why are you getting James Conner when you have Myles Gaskin and all these picks and all this money? Like that's really what you're going to spend money on? I don't know. It's weird. Like there's so many running backs in this group that are just like, who's gonna pay this guy his value like on the open market? Like it seems like everybody's just gonna be undersold.
That's what sucks for running backs, huh? Because all these guys have had pretty good careers up to till now, but their best years are probably all behind them, with the exception of Aaron Jones. But even for him, you can make that argument.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
And
feel
now
like
that
I
they're
feel like
ready
his
to hit
best
the open
years are probably
market,
behind him.
sorry,
I feel like his best years are probably behind him in Green Bay, unless
Aaron
he
Jones.
resigns.
Yeah. So I mean, you could say it for all the running backs then, and they're probably never going to get. They aren't going to get what they're worth, which is kind of suck. Which kind of sucks, you know. But when it comes to James Conner, I could see him going to the Texans as one possibility. Much like the situation that we mentioned earlier, I believe it was for Chris Carson. The Texans are probably going to need a running back. I wouldn't be surprised if they did release David Johnson. And Mark Ingram is not the answer for any team looking for a running back solution.
no,
So, so James Conner to the Texans is a possibility. I would be really sad if he went to the Dolphins. I'll say that much. I feel like he's like the exact player like as Myles Gaskin. So hopefully he doesn't go there. Hopefully he goes somewhere where he can be at least featured a little bit more, because he is, like you said, Luke, above average. He's a very above average running back, and he is useful for fantasy purposes because of that. Now, why don't we go ahead and talk about Alex's favorite running back in the world, Marlon Mack. Personally, I would be shocked if he went anywhere but the Colts. Alex, I know he's your favorite guy, so I'll just let you talk about him for a little bit.
I can't stand Marlon Mack. I don't want to talk about him. I'm
I'll
passing.
do it then. Alex, I actually
Can't
like
stand him.
Marlon Mack. I feel like he's a really underrated running back, and
shut
no,
up.
seriously, I think he's a good player. Why don't you like him? He's a good player, man. He
He's
was
not
pretty
good.
in Indianapolis. How
He
is he not
sucks.
good?
They drafted
How does he
Jonathan
suck?
Taylor. He sucks. He's bad. He's not
He was
good.
good when he was healthy.
He wasn't good. He was fine. He was up behind the best offensive line in the league, and he was fine. Like that's not good.
Yeah, I'm not saying he's elite, but he's a pretty solid guy. But he's
He's
coming
not
off an
solid.
Achilles tear, though, so he's probably not going to be anything that special. But I definitely think he is going to hinder Jonathan Taylor a little bit next season. He's going to be kind of annoying. Like he'll just be another committee back they're going to work in with what's his face, the receiving guy there. What's his name?
Hines?
Yeah, Naeem Hines, Jordan Wilkins, Marlon Mack, and Jonathan Taylor now. Probably just get rid of Wilkins and replace him with Marlon Mack, and that's probably what I think the committee back's going to be there in Indianapolis. Probably more Jonathan Taylor, but, you know, it's going to be kind of gross. Marlon Mack's probably going to return to Indianapolis is my summary of him.
Agreed. Alex, no more takes regarding Marlon Mack?
I just feel like he's going to end up as a backup on some random team. I don't see why the Colts are going to re-sign him. They have a better running back. There's no reason for them to re-sign Marlon Mack. No reason at all. No reason.
That's the Marlon Mack love
He really
segment
does
from
not like
Alex.
Marlon Mack.
It's
You know,
just
there's
he's a nuisance. He's just annoying. I don't trust a guy who couldn't beat out Frank Gore when he was a rookie. Like that was just a bad sign. I've been so mad ever since then. Like this guy's just not
Did
good.
you have him that year?
Yeah, I picked him up. I was like, oh, he's Frank.
There we go.
34-year-old Frank Gore's in front of him. He should be fine. And then he didn't do anything. And I'm like, okay, you're just not that good, I guess.
Dude, 34-year-old Frank Gore is like a youngin'. I don't know what you're talking about. Frank Gore's going to be going until he's 50.
I'm ready to talk about receivers, guys. I'm sorry. We got to move
Excellent.
on.
Before we get into the wide receivers, though, I want to remind you guys to check out PredictionStrike.com. Prediction Strike is an amazing website where it's like a combination of the DFS and the stock market where you can actually real life invest in your favorite athletes such as LeBron James, Kenny Galladay, Juju Smith-Schuster, Will Fuller, all these free agent wide receivers going to be talking about in a second. When they landed in their new spots, you can actually go on and buy stock in them and really truly invest in their new locations. So definitely go over to PredictionStrike.com and check out our promo code 3CO, 3CO to get up to 50% back on your initial deposit. So, gentlemen, let's hop into these free agent wide receivers. Up first, we have the guy who's going to get the biggest bag, arguably, in all of the free agency, Kenny Galladay. He's going to be making some serious cash. Kenny G, I think a great fit for Kenny G is the Miami Dolphins, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm actually going to lean into the Jacksonville one a good bit. I really think he's a good fit there to complement DJ Chark on the outside. And I think they can pay him. They have a ton of salary room. And I think Kenny Galladay is a nice fit in that offense right there. What do you guys think about him?
Yeah, I mean, the Jaguars are good. I feel like every team that has salary cap room and could use a receiver is going to be on Galladay. I feel like he fits well with like the Patriots, the Jets, the Dolphins, He could go to any of the teams, and I wouldn't be surprised. I've seen some people talking about him going to the Bears. That was weird. I didn't like that one. But yeah, I'm just gonna.
Gross.
I'll plant my Patriots flag on him right here, and I'm saying Patriots. Going with Patriots.
Oh yeah, dude, that'd be gross, but it makes a lot of sense. They need a wide receiver.
Yeah,
really bad.
What are you thinking, Angel?
I'm thinking more Jaguars. I really think a DJ Chark, Kenny Galladay, Laviska Shenault offense for Trevor Lawrence is exactly what they would want in place for him. They don't want to repeat the Bortles mistake where they gave him a team that had no talent on the offensive side of the ball besides Allen Robinson. So I really think that they're going to go that direction. I really think the Jaguars are going to sign Kenny Galladay, which sucks for all my Laviska shares and all my Laviska love. But it just makes too much sense not to happen, especially with the cap room. I would love for the Patriots to sign him. I just don't think our good friend Bill Belichick is going to spend that type of money on the wide receiver. He never has. I don't see that changing towards the end of his career.
Yeah, I really like Visca still. I think they're going to give him his touches. He's going to get his. He's a different kind of receiver than those two guys. I feel like he has to have a pretty solidified role in the offense.
Right. One guy I could see the Patriots going after, though, is Juju Smith-Schuster. I think that might be a pretty good fit for the Patriots. A little bit less costly than Kenny Galladay, but he does the things that the Patriot system needs really well. He's really good over the middle. He's quick. He's elusive. He's just a really good fit for it, and I could see him going there for around $12, $13 million a year. What do you think?
That one, I mean, I think the Patriots and Juju, that seems like a good fit just because we really like possession receivers here, and we like guys who can block, which are two things that Juju does really well for us, especially for a superstar receiver. Like, he's a very fundamentally sound player, does all the right things. I don't really see the Patriots ending up getting him. I feel like there's probably some weird Steelers-Patriots animosity that might make him kind of not want to do it. I think he likes the Steelers, and I think he's not going to go back, but I feel like he doesn't want to diss them like that. So I'm going to say he's going to go to the Jets. I feel like the Jets are going to throw a ton of money at him and be like, please help save us.
I actually just wrote an article for that the Steelers website I'm starting to write for today about my top 3 landing spots for Juju. My top 3 are the New York Giants, the Miami Dolphins, and the Las Vegas Raiders. I think the Raiders could potentially throw a lot of money in. Dude, the Raiders' offense with Juju would be really nice. They'd have Josh Jacobs, Darren Waller, Henry Ruggs to take the top off the defense, Juju over in the middle, and Hunter Renfrow underneath. Like, that's a really nasty combination of wide receivers and tight end.
That'd be good.
Like, I think it'd be a really nice offense. Juju, I think I think he's kind of like a John Gruden player. Am I wrong? Like, I feel like Juju and John Gruden would get along very nicely.
Yeah, that would work out.
And what you were saying about the Patriots, I don't know if Juju would want to go there just because like he's such like a he's like the fun guy, and I don't think he would like Bill Belichick's locker room very much. I mean, he definitely could.
What about Cam? Cam likes it here. He's fun. He loves
fun.
Bill Belichick. They love each other.
You know what? That's fair. It's just a bit of the stigma with Bill Belichick's locker room, I guess. It's more of a regime, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think my favorite fit for Juju of those is probably the Raiders or the Giants. I feel like the Giants just make so much sense. Like, they need a receiver really bad. Juju would kind of stabilize that entire group. And I feel like Juju would just it just makes sense for him to go to New York. I don't know. I feel like it's just like a perfect fit. He can go a lot of places. Like I think that Juju is like one of the most like versatile wide receivers as far as like fitting like any scheme you wanted to go into, because he can pretty much do whatever. Like I feel like most teams in the NFL could use a Juju for their team, but I don't know. It'll be interesting to see who pays him because he'll be getting a nice bag this offseason. Speaking of bags, this guy had a bag of PEDs he took last season and had a really nice year. So Will Fuller,
Nice.
he's a really interesting guy in free agency to me. I think he would be a perfect fit for the Green Bay Packers. I also think another team that would be really interesting is the Cincinnati Bengals. I think the Bengals with Will Fuller could be really nice. He could be the speed guy that they always wanted with John Ross. But I don't know. It'll be really interesting to see where he lands. Angel, what do you think about Will Fuller's landing spot?
I think he's got a lot of potential, especially with the Packers, who I think should make a move for him, and I do think they will make a move for him. If I remember correctly, it was in the at the trade deadline that the Packers tried to land Fuller, but they couldn't work out a deal with Houston, right? So it just makes a lot of sense for them to pursue him in free agency. They need a number 2 wide receiver. That's their biggest need. If they had one, maybe they beat the Bucks, because at a certain point it just became obvious that Devontae Adams was getting the ball pretty much every passing play, and they can't have that happen in the playoffs. They need someone else. Will Fuller would take the top off of defense, allow Devontae Adams to really thrive even more. I really like the fit there.
Yeah, I think I'm going to do an outside the box pick. I think the Lions are going to sign him. I think the Lions were the team that got destroyed by Will Fuller on Thanksgiving. He got Matt Patricia fired because he killed them. He murdered the Lions. And I think the people who run the Lions were watching that game like, that would be cool if we had that guy. And that's my outside the box pick. I think the Lions are going to throw some money at Will Fuller because they're like, okay, this guy's Tyreek Hill. We saw what he did against us. We want that guy. It's not going to work out for the Lions or Will Fuller, but I think that's my prediction.
Yeah,
I love that. I really
Fuller's a
love
really
that.
interesting guy. I think this next guy though is the sleeper pick that everyone's kind of been talking about in the fantasy community is Curtis Samuel. After I think it was week 7, he was the wide receiver 10 on the season. Curtis Samuel, he was an amazing fantasy player this past season, and if he goes to the right situation, I feel like he could be an awesome weapon. My personal favorite fit for Curtis Samuel is either the New England Patriots or Washington football team. I think in Washington, he'd be a great asset because Terry McLaurin, it'd be a great compliment to have a guy like Curtis Samuel because Terry's like your stereotypical wide receiver, dominant X kind of guy. Big bodied, can get open, run every route in the route tree, make every play. Curtis Samuel's a great burner down the field. He can do a lot of stuff with the ball in his hands underneath as well. I feel like it'd be a nice complement to that offense. And then add in Antonio Gibson out of the backfield, Logan Thomas at the tight ends. I mean, I think that's a pretty well-rounded offense, and I think Samuel would be a nice fit there. Alex, where do you think Samuel's going to head this offseason?
Yeah, I think there's 2 teams that stick out to me, Washington and Green Bay. But I definitely think Washington's going to be the biggest player for him because Ron Rivera coached him for the first 3 years of his career.
That's really true. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, and Ron really liked him, I think. He really wanted to get him involved, and it took a while for that to end up happening, and it didn't really come to fruition until after Rivera left. But I feel like he's a perfect fit for Washington. He knows the scheme because they ran the exact same offense with the same guys. So yeah, they can – and Terry McLaurin, honestly, is basically like an optimized version of DJ Moore. So like it's the same thing. He'll know exactly what to do once he gets there, and I think it's a great fit.
You could make the same argument for Samuel as we made for all the other wide receivers thus far. The usual suspects, the Packers, the Patriots, the Jets. I would, however, be shocked if the Panthers let him go. They have the cap space to retain him. He was a big part of their game plan last season. So it's not the sexy pick. I mean, he was the wide receiver 10 for the last 7 weeks of the season. So it could be a sexy pick. But I think he really fits well in that offense, and I would be surprised if he didn't end up in Carolina again.
Yeah. The only thing about it is like they have to pay DJ Moore at a certain point, and that could factor into their decision to give money to another guy. You don't really want to be paying like $50 million for 3 receivers. Like that could be not ideal. So I mean, I do see him potentially returning to the Panthers. So that's a good point right there.
Yeah, I mean, a guy that I don't think will return to his team is Corey Davis. So I'm really interested to see where he's going to end up. I feel like he's another guy that could be a really good fit on the Packers if they decide to go low money, lower money. He's not going to be that cheap after this season. But I definitely don't see him returning to the Titans. I can see the Dolphins being a good fit for him, especially on the outside. Corey Davis, Devontae Parker, the two wide receivers that broke out year 4.
Yeah, the two.
Feel
The
that
two
might be a good
breakouts.
combo. 5th year, right? Thank you. That might be a good fit. What do you guys think?
Yeah, for Corey Davis, my favorite prediction once again is Washington. I just feel like it's a good, solid wide receiver too to put amongst Terry McLaurin in that offense. That will just be like kind of a glue that kind of like gels the offense together more.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Baltimore. I think he's the exact guy Baltimore needs. He's just the best. He's as close to Des Bryant as you're gonna get in this free agency class, and they've been chasing Des Bryant for like 5 years. They finally got him. They waited too long. He was bad. They just need a big dude who's gonna like haul in passes on the boundary. Like they just can't get one of those guys. And Corey Davis is the exact kind of guy they need. I feel like it's a good fit too.
Yeah. All right, well, the next guy I'm very interested to see what you guys think. I honestly haven't thought about this very much yet, but Antonio Brown, I don't know. I feel like I just see him returning to Tampa just because I feel like him and Tom Brady are so attached to the hip these days. But if he were to leave, I think a team that'd be interesting is Philadelphia. But I don't really see him leaving. I think him and Tom Brady are going to keep having sleepovers.
Oh yeah, I feel like AB. Like if he doesn't come, AB and Gronk are kind of in the same boat where they're both free agents. I definitely think Gronk is going back to Tampa. That would be weird. If he
Gronk's
didn't.
not leaving. There's no way. He's playing with Tom Brady till he dies.
Yeah, and there's a slightly like higher chance that Brown leaves. It's a marginally higher chance because like I think Brady wants him back. But if he does leave, the Seahawks have been really wanting him for a long time. So I think they could potentially be like, "Hey, you want to come 3 years, 15 million? Come on, play with Russell Wilson." Wink, wink. And then they trade Russell Wilson to the Bears, and they're like, "Oh, sorry." But yeah,
That'd be
Seattle,
tough.
Baltimore also is a team to watch because his cousin Marquise Hollywood Brown plays there. So definitely those two teams are worth monitoring. Those sneaky bird teams, the Eagles, the Seahawks, and
Those
the Ravens.
sneaky birds. Sneaky birds. Oh wait, one more thing for Corey Davis real quick before we move on is Corey Davis to the Cardinals actually would be a pretty nice fit, I think.
Nah,
I would like that.
They don't need
Why
another
not?
receiver. They got tons
they
of
do.
receivers.
They have
What, they have
DeAndre
what?
Hopkins and a bunch of dudes.
Well, Christian Kirk is a good receiver. What are you talking about?
No, he ain't. Christian Kirk is very average.
What?
Christian
Come
Kirk is a
on.
wide receiver 3.
I'm shook
Come
right now.
on.
I love Christian Kirk. I think he's
on.
really
Why?
underrated.
Why?
Come on.
He's-
We can't get into this now. We can't do this now.
We can,
I'm not.
but I'm shook by the fact that you don't like him. He's
Bro,
a great
Cardinals
route
fans
runner.
on Twitter want another wide receiver.
Yeah, because they're greedy. They're like, we have 5 receivers on the field at all times. You guys got plenty of receivers. Chill. Come on, get a defense.
I think
Get
I
an
would-
offensive
I would
line.
like to
Still
see
the
them-
Warriors.
I would like to see them get another one, but I don't know. We'll see.
Ugh.
I don't even want to talk about Antonio Brown anymore. I'll just say Tampa Bay. I want to talk
yeah.
more about Christian Kirk, but I guess we can't today. That'll be our next episode.
That's all good.
Another guy we can talk about, T.Y. Hilton, though. I feel like it'd be really weird for him to leave the Colts. So I'm just sticking my flag there and saying he returns to the Colts. But if he doesn't, I'd love to see him go to Houston because he always balls out in Houston. And
Ew.
I personally have him in a couple of dynasty leagues, so frick it. Just give it to me. Give me T.Y. Hilton in Houston. Do it.
Ew. Yuck.
You don't like
I
that?
don't know. I feel like T.Y. Hilton's just gross these days anyway. He hasn't done anything ever since Andrew Luck left, and he's just, I don't know, he's old. He's injury prone. But yeah, I just think, he's been in Indianapolis like his entire career. So I think I'm just going to say he returns to Indianapolis, unless they just like don't want him back for some reason. But I feel like he's just such like a locker room guy, and he's been there for so long. I feel like they just kind of need him back. He's like a staple for their team.
I feel like there's no way he goes back to Indianapolis. I don't think he was happy there last year. He looked like he wanted to leave, even though they were doing well. I feel like Hilton, the Texans fit is interesting because the Texans have really fallen in love with those like short, skinny, fast guys in the last 3 years. Like they had Stills, QT, Cooks, and Fuller as their 4 receivers last year. So that was like, he would definitely fit their type of guy, but my pick for him is the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins have a lot of interest in him. He's from Florida. I think he'd love to go back and finish his career there. They're a good team. they could use a player like him who's just like going to spread the field and just get deep, make plays, be a consistent veteran presence for Tua Tagovailoa, because you're not going to develop a quarterback when the wide receiver 2 for your team is Jakeem Grant, who's he's a punt returner. He's a really good athlete. I really like Jakeem Grant. Shouldn't be your wide receiver 2. There's no way that should happen. So yeah, I think T.Y. Hilton to the Dolphins makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely correct. The next guy, though, has the greatest hands of any Philadelphia receiver of all time. We're talking about Nelson Aguilar. I don't know. I don't know where he's going to go. Is he in the conversation to return to Las Vegas?
He definitely is.
I haven't returned to Vegas then because John Gruden really likes that guy. He was
really
actually
good.
really good. Yeah, he was really good for them last year. He was a very consistent playmaking wide receiver for them.
Yeah, he's like a cheap return option. Like you could get him on a nice team friendly deal. He thrived. He was really like awesome for them, honestly. Like if you watched the games, he was by far their best receiver. Like it wasn't even close. He was making a ton of plays. It was a real resurgence that I think it went under the radar because he didn't have like huge fantasy numbers, but he had solid numbers. Like it was nothing to sneeze at, honestly. But yeah, I feel like the Raiders. Yeah, exactly. A solid flex. And the Raiders would probably love to have him back and not have to pay a ton to bring a new guy in.
Yeah, we're all in agreement. I have him going back to the Raiders. I'd be shocked if he didn't go back there. How do you guys feel about Marvin Jones, though?
Marvin Jones, I actually think he's a very sneaky wide receiver to go to Green Bay. Very cheap.
I like
fill
that.
a hole. He'll be really solid next year because Marvin Jones is always just really solid. I feel like him and Devontae Adams would be a nice duo. I think to keep it short, Jones to Green Bay makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I'm curious. I haven't investigated, but I wonder if the Rams have any room to bring in Marvin Jones, because you think he might want to go and play on a team that had his quarterback for the last 5 years.
That's true.
And could win a Super Bowl. Like it would be a nice spot for him because they kind of could use an outside boundary receiver like him to go alongside with Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp. I feel like that could be a sneaky fit. But I also think the Packers
already have Van Jefferson, baby.
What's that guy gonna do?
Van Jefferson hype train. Let's go.
Big physical Van Jefferson, the guy who's gonna go up in the red zone.
Yeah, you know him. He's got hops. Don't sleep on Van.
Good things Van Jefferson's a good receiver, but not Christian Kirk. I'm dead.
Yeah.
Come on.
Well,
now.
it's just unbiased hype, obviously. Anyway, wait, Angel, did you say Marvin Jones or no?
Marvin Jones, I see him going to a team like the Panthers if they don't re-sign Curtis Samuel, which would be yucky. I agree, Alex. It would be so yucky.
Come on now.
That's pretty gross. All right, boys, on to the tight ends. We have two really good tight ends to talk about right here. Hunter Henry. This is my favorite free agency prediction. I think this is a really good fit. I hope it comes true. Hunter Henry to the Cincinnati Bengals. I feel like it is a perfect fit. They have cap room for him. They need a tight end. CJ Uzomah and Drew Sample aren't going to do anything for your NFL team, okay? They're not good. Hunter Henry would be a nice fit in that offense. Alex made a gross face. I have no idea why, because obviously I'm a genius and I make the correct take every time. So, Alex, why don't you explain yourself?
It's not a bad spot, but I feel like, I don't know, I've kind of talked myself into the Bengals chasing after Kyle Pitts and making him the next big thing. So
They
I don't really
should absolutely not do that. They should draft Sewell.
They're not going to get that guy. Come on, he's going before that. What are you talking about?
I don't think he's going to. I think
Get out of here.
Who's going to draft him? The Dolphins?
Jets.
No, the Jets are drafting a quarterback.
I mean, the Falcons could also draft him. The Falcons could use a tackle, I think.
Yeah, I think the threats are the Jets if they keep Darnold, the Jets. But I don't think they're going to. I feel like that's like a 20% chance of happening. And then the Dolphins, I think they're going to get a receiver, but they also could draft him. I think they're the biggest chance. The Falcons, I think, are going to draft a quarterback. They should at least. I think they should probably draft Justin Fields or whoever's on the board right there. And then I think the Bengals at 5 will get Sewell.
Yeah, I guess we'll see what happens when we do our mock NFL draft episode. That'll be interesting. You can take Sewell if you end up with the Bengals. But yeah, I'm going to say Hunter Henry to the Patriots. I feel like we need a tight end, and I like Hunter Henry, and I think he'd be a good fit for us.
Devin Asiasi? Come on now.
Nah, no, he's not better than Hunter Henry.
I know. That's like my second choice for him. Patriots, they make a lot of sense.
The Patriots?
Yeah, they make a lot of sense.
Angel, let's hear it.
Well, I mean, now I look silly because I'm thinking the Patriots too. I feel like Cam Newton loves his tight ends,
He
and
does.
we saw how successful he was with Greg Olson. Um, Hunter Henry does a lot of the same things. He's good at run blocking, and the Patriots are definitely going to be a run heavy team this year. So I think if Kenny Gall doesn't go there, and if Juju doesn't go there, then I think Hunter Henry will be the offensive piece that does end up going to New England, maybe on a 12 million average deal, something like that. Something the Patriots can afford for a position that they desperately need, and maybe they'll address wide receiver through the draft or something. Um,
They could get
but
both. They could pull it off. Go swing for the fences.
I mean, I hope. Imagine.
Only paying $14 for a quarterback. The $14 14 million for the
$19
quarterback.
Fortnite card.
Yeah,
That's it.
they got a good
Okay.
deal on the
Anyway,
quarterback position. They can splurge elsewhere now.
they can.
Value
right.
picks.
We're on to the next guy.
Hopefully, Jonnu Smith.
Johnny Smith. Johnny Smith, I think he is a very talented NFL tight end. I don't know how much he's going to get paid. I don't really know what team is a good fit for him. I think the Colts would be really nice. I don't know. There's a lot of teams that could use Jonnu. It'll just be interesting to see who pays.
Yeah, I feel like the Cardinals. This is where the Cardinals get their new pass catcher because their tight ends were garbage last year. Like if you talk yourself into Dan Arnold, you were kidding yourself. Come on, he was not good. That guy can't block. He's just a receiver. But Johnny Smith can block, and he's a great receiver. He'd be a perfect fit for that offense because he's just a weapon. Super fast, great after the catch, great hands. Like, come on, just Cardinals get Jonnu Smith. Don't stop playing around with these tight ends. Max Williams, come on, get out of here.
Come on
Terrible.
now.
Come on now. Lay off the weed.
I like the Cardinals a lot. I think he would be the perfect down the seams guy that the Cardinals need to really make that offense completely explode. I mean, it's going to explode this season anyways, with Kyler Murray's development. But Jonnu Smith would be a really good fit there. I think Washington would be another interesting fit. Like you said, he's a really good run blocker. With Antonio Gibson becoming the feature back there, it would be helpful for him. I mean, I know they have good run blocking tight ends, but I do think that Smith excels in that department. And he would be a good complement to Terry McLaurin. So those are the two spots that I would like to see him in. Personally, I'd prefer the Cardinals. I think he'd be a really good fantasy option there. A top 5 tight end probably this season. Which I guess isn't saying that much of your number 5, but still, it would be a really good option.
Yeah. I think. What about Logan Thomas though in Washington? He was the tight end 3.
Ooh,
Tight end 3
you're
in
right.
fantasy
I
this
forgot
year.
about Logan Thomas.
Logan Thomas is good.
Yeah, Logan Thomas is good.
Yeah, he's not like a special player, but he's a fine guy. Like I think they gave him a pretty generous extension at some point. Like not like a big one, but he's back for like a few years.
You're right. He did get an extension.
But I also could see them just going 2 tight ends. Like it wouldn't be the first time. Who
I'd like to
knows?
see it.
Heck it. 2 tight ends.
All right, guys. Well, that wraps up our fantasy predictions. Not fantasy, free agency predictions. When we have our next episode come out on Thursday, we'll probably have some signings to talk about because the tampering period opens up on Monday. And by the time you're hearing this episode, we'll probably have some news coming out already. And then on Thursday, by the time you hear that episode, we'll probably have some signings to talk about. So with all that being said, thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the 3CoSports podcast. We did all of our predictions and stuff. So please make sure to drop a follow or subscribe, whatever button says on your platform you're listening to right now. And please drop a review or a written review if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. It really helps us grow. Thank you so much, and we will see you all next time.
Bye.
Thank you.